Rick Hill is waiting. All right, I think we're going to begin. Hello to those who are joining us virtually. It's great to see you both online and those who have come in person. My name is Mary Waldron. I'm the Executive Director of Old Colony Planning Council. It will be 6 years that I've been here as of December 1st, the 2nd, something like that. I know, but 6 years. It is very nice. It's been so incredible, right? December 1st of 2019, and then COVID hit in February of 2020. So what that indicates, though, I think not just only for me and for the staff, you need to be resilient, you need to be able to pivot, you need to be creative, you need to be open, you need to be transparent, but you also need to be collaborative. This grant award is not just Old Colony Planning Council, it is all of you coming together and being supportive in a very quick fashion, if I remember right. Those meetings, some of you were able to go, but then our staff really did a great job of recording, so then you could catch up and having a Google Drive. So it's really important that welcoming all of you. We have business partners, but we also have our 6 communities, and we only look for that to grow. You know, we're here in the Thomas Edison building, historic Thomas Edison. You know, it's the honor that I have that I walk into this building every day, sometimes even on weekends, but to see and to know what innovations that he and his team had right here. That's the same innovation that's here today with all of you. Higher ed, folk tech, high school, private businesses, government. I know I'm missing quite a few others. Workforce boards. It really is important, and really excited to have accepted the award in Worcester. But this is just the beginning of a lot of work, and I know I'm leaving it to the team that we have Nick Giaquinto, who's been corresponding with you, Paul Romano, and then Don Sullivan. But I do not want to forget those that are behind the scenes, and Megan Fortier, who is on the other side of that wall. She can wave her hand a little bit to come and to be participating. It really does take a team. As part of this is going to be branding. So without further ado, there is, for those that are online, there's an opportunity for chat. So please place any questions along the way. There will be time for that. But now I'm going to turn it over to Nick. Oh, to Paul.
I thought we would do some quick introductions, just going around and then doing them online.
So let's start. I did get your text. We're just doing some quick introductions, and what's the question for? Just say who they are and where they're from and why they're here.
Yeah, and what brought you here and what interests you about what we're doing? What your initial thoughts?
My background is hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Malik Williams. My background is creative production, audio engineering, audio acoustics, and the field of engineering and education. You know, sorry, I just randomly here. So, but audio engineering and education.
Well, to speak up in the room where I'm having a hard time hearing, I can't speak for everyone else.
Just everybody, so when you speak here, if you're able to speak up, can I get confirmation that you can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, and for those when you can't, because I think it's important for those who are online to know who's here. So that was Malik. So thank you.
So Bob Adams, Stonehill College. Part of the reason we're here is that we just, anything that we can get involved with all of our certificate program in photonics would be great. We're trying to build technicians for the workforce. So any input for that end would be great.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Schmitzer. I'm a chemistry professor at Stonehill College and director of our photonics and optical engineering certificate program. Bob's a lab manager. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing how we can get involved. We have a gorgeous Mass Tech funded lab in our, so LEAP, as I call it, we're part of the Massachusetts network. So if anyone wants to come visit our lab, happy to give you a tour.
Hi, I'm Hassan Bajwa. I'm the chair of computer science and engineering at Stonehill College. And we just started new engineering program for 4 years ago. We have robotics lab and which is funded by Cardinal Health. So one purpose of being here is to obviously meet you guys, have our partnerships and see if you can get involved with Mass Tech on robotics projects and like problems.
Rick Jordan, town planner, town of Avon. We have initiatives to expand or improve our Avon Industrial Park and the Merchants Park, which is Stockwell Drive, where we're all talking about Jordan's Furniture, Costco. And our primary initiatives there right now are designing sewer for those two locations. If sewer goes in, that would be a big impetus to development there. And I'm just generally interested in economic development for the town of Avon.
I'm Lorraine Albert, I'm from Mass Higher Greater Brockton Workforce Board. Good to see everybody. And I'm here today representing the board with Jason Hunter, who will get a little bit more into the regional blueprint, but manufacturing is one of our top 3 industries in this area. And we're so excited that Mary and her team had approached us and applied for this funding because we know how critical that is to the economics as well as workforce and educational entities in this room and beyond. So I'm just so psyched to be here.
Lorraine is not also selling herself a little bit short. She is so well renowned and experienced in manufacturing.
I love manufacturing.
Really do. It is, and so.
Me too. You do too. Jason Hunter, Executive Director of Mass High Greater Brockton Workforce Board. Lorraine kind of stole the thunder, but we're just happy to be at the table to push this grant forward and gather the industry resources together to see. Well, please check out.
Dan Evans, EMI Evans Machine, we are advanced manufacturing, and we've been in Brockton since 1984 and grown quite a bit here with the support of all the programs and City Hall and the agencies involved. And we need your support, and we want to give back and give support to this program and help grow.
Morning, everybody. I'm Jeff Thompson. I'm Brockton's Ward 5 City Councilor. I'm here to see how the city of Brockton can participate in this development strategy development. Brockton wants to be a hub of manufacturing, and we always appreciate those who choose to do business in Brockton. So how do we attract more of it? How do we support it? And thank you, Mary, for applying for this grant. And the city of Brockton wants to be a partner in it.
Thank you, Council. You're also the City Council President as well. So they're having that, not only the ward that we are currently in, but also as a council president. So thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Hi, folks. Don Sullivan, Town Development Director of CPC. In short, this project really is building the foundation for some long AED strategies that we have. Long-term strategy all along the corridor, 24 corridor. Going to grow and develop and expand those IP centers, those centers for economic growth. 6 or 8 of them all along that corridor, as well as the rest of the region. So it's a great project, and we're looking forward to working with all of them.
Thank you, Don. Dr. Nick, why don't you go ahead and shout folks out on this?
Sure. I'll just call everyone out by name and you can just jump in and say something. We have sort of a big attendee list here, so I'll just start from the top. Bonnie from Stonehill College.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Troop. I'm the Director of Research Grants and Sponsored Projects at Stonehill College. And I'm here basically in a supporting capacity for Cheryl, Hassan, and Bob.
Great. Amanda Donovan.
Hello, Amanda Donovan. I'm the Executive Director of Grants at Massasoit Community College. I'm here to support all of the initiatives through the Future of Work Institute with Dr. Corinne Sauvignon and also Dr. Katie Ruggieri.
Great. Carmelia Jackson.
Hi, everybody. My name's Camelia Jackson here. I'm the grant director here at Brockton Public Schools. So I'm here just to understand the program, to support all of our colleagues here, and to just understand where our students and our CTE programs can be in addition to that. I know we work with Jason a lot. So hello, everybody. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Cam.
Great. Dottie.
Hi, Dottie Fulgenetti. I'm multitasking and doing double duty. I'm chair of the select board in Easton. We just had the opportunity to connect with Brockton Sewer to our industrial park. So I'm really interested in the tech hub from that perspective, but also I'm a senior vice president and deputy director of operations managing capital asset grants for Mass Development. And so I definitely have an interest in that from that organization as well. Mass Development has a lot of funding sources that may be helpful to future business expansion in that area, as well as capital asset grant programs. So I'm excited to be part of the conversation. Thank you.
Great. And Dr. Savignon?
Hi, good morning. Corinne Sauvignon. I am the Associate Vice President for the Future of Work Institute for Massasoit Community College. And I'm here today as a partner for training opportunities that exist within our associate and certificate programs.
Great. And Laura Buckley?
Good morning, everybody. Nice to see so many familiar faces on a Monday morning. My name is Laura Buckley. I have the pleasure of serving as the Deputy Executive Director and Chief Economist at the Mass Hire South Shore Workforce Board. We work closely with our partners at the Brockton Workforce Board on a variety of different issues, but one of our favorite has to be manufacturing. So this initiative really hits close to home. And we've done some background work and research in the past couple of months to pull together the right information. And I think we're on the cusp of something really exciting for the entire region with this project.
Great. Marie Kelly, Stonehill.
Hi, I'm Marie Kelly. I'm the Director of Corporate Foundation and Donor Relations at the college. I work closely with Bonnie on institutional grants and here to support Stonehill's role with Cheryl and Hassan and Bob, supporting them in however Stonehill gets involved.
Great. Mr. Tomasi.
Hello, everyone. Michael Tomasi, President and CEO of AccuRounds. We are an advanced manufacturer located in the Avon Industrial Park. I also co-chair the Advanced Manufacturing Collaborative with the Secretary of Economic Development, Eric Paley. We are here to support our industry, of course, get involved in any workforce development initiatives as well, and contribute any way we can, just like Dan at Evans Machine. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael.
Great. I see someone from the Metro South Chamber. So it might be Chris.
Good morning, everyone. This is Chris Cooney with the Metro South Chamber of Commerce. I'm driving, so I'm trying to be safe here. But we are supportive of everything OCPC is doing, and pretty much everybody around the table is a member of the chamber. So we're happy to be a partner and supportive. And this is not just a Brockton, but a regional initiative that we can absolutely buy right into. So thank you.
Great. Just two more. Michelle Saunders.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Saunders. I'm the Vice President of Human Resources at Shawmut Corporation. So we're in West Bridgewater. A lot of our workforce is from the Brockton area. And we are kind of in the automotive industry, also in textiles. And I've only been with the company for 3 months. So we'll be as much of a resource as I can.
Great. And last, Shane O'Brien.
Hey there, Shane O'Brien, town planner for the town of Bridgewater. So I'm coming in on the public sector of all things, but I'm just here on behalf of Bridgewater to kind of see where we can fit in with all this work that you guys are doing. So thanks for having us.
Great. I think
Paul and Nick, maybe introduce yourself.
Nick Giaquinto. I'm the Senior Economic Development Planner here at OCPC.
And I'm Paul Umano, Senior Grant and Fiscal Compliance Officer. So I get the opposite title of my day, which is pretty cool.
Titles keeps growing, by the way.
But wanted to do a quick presentation for you guys. I know a couple of you may have seen this before, but give you real context of what we're trying to do here. So, all right. So we are officially a tech hub for this region. The Route 24 corridor is a tech hub, and we have that designation for the next 3 years. So we're really excited about that. And we're actually an exclusive company, as Mary had mentioned. We're one of only about 5 that received this strategy development designation. And this funding that also comes along with it. So we got $100,000 to do this initiative. And we're going to develop this over the next 12 to 18 months. So the 24 corridors really the pilot for this. But overall, for a more unified strategy, hopefully down the line, that will include not only the 6 communities that we're talking about as part of this Route 24 corridor, but the additional 11 communities that are part of our Old Colony region. And we're here to do this to support, as we talked about, advanced manufacturing, robotics, photonics, automation, medical device production, food production. The possibilities are endless, and just based on everything that we have to offer in this region, which is quite exciting and really forward thinking. Next slide. So why are we here? Why are we doing this? It's again to position the region as a hub for advanced manufacturing and tech. And we really want this project to build a skilled workforce pipeline in both middle skills and high skills, right? We want to make sure we're covering as wide a ground as we can as we develop this. And the other main purpose is to support not only the companies that we have here, the idea that we want to expand and attract new companies to this region. So how do we do that? We create a unified strategy with really everybody at this table. But also looking at the long term, as I mentioned, making sure that other communities are involved at some point in the strategy development process, but also looking at bringing in new funding, right? So this is just one pot of money that we're thinking of in terms of the planning process for developing this. Hopefully we get to go back to the table to MTC, and once we have our plan in place and get some implementation money and actually make this happen in the future. So how do we do it? Again, with everybody at this table. So working with our industry leaders. So I know a lot of them just introduced themselves today, but we're proud of the fact that we got letters of support from 30 industries in this region. So that's really an accomplishment, and I think that that's really what made our application stand out and to get this award in the first place. But also our educational partners, Massasoit Community College, Stonehill, BSU, our partners at the South Shore Globe Tech, Southeastern Regional, Brockton High School. We also can't forget the high schools in our communities as well that'll play a vital role as we look to develop this strategy. And then, of course, our workforce partners, right? It's no secret, you guys are our consultants. They're going to be helping us on this project. So we have Mass Higher Greater Brockton and also the South Shore Career Center as well. And then we also brought in a nonprofit partner, Cedric Turner, and the work that he does with the Empower Yourself, and the fact that he works with low-income students in STEM in the city of Brockton. So having his voice at the table was also helpful as we developed this strategy. Then, of course, we can't forget the municipalities. So the top 6 that are part of the Route 24 corridor. So Avon, Stoughton, Brockton, Easton, Bridgewater, and West Bridgewater. Obviously, you guys know this region better than anybody. So really being part of the community engagement process, helping us determine the needs in terms of doing an assessment, but also connecting with the local businesses and making sure that they're at the table in this process as well. So to give you a perspective on this region, and this was a learning experience for me. I didn't realize how many advanced manufacturing firms we have in this area, 60 plus. So that's over 5,500 workers in all the areas you see here. Really, again, clustered on this Route 24 corridor, which is why we use this as a pilot. But also knowing that the clusters do expand outside of the border. So it's not defined by the border of Route 24, just knowing that there's some in East Bridgewater, there's some in Abington, and some other areas in our region. So we're really excited about the possibilities of how we can expand this moving forward.
Just to add to, Paul, I think since we've done more work on this since this map was created, I think probably have the ability to add between 10 and 15 more companies that haven't been identified here. So once we've wrote those in and took account for food production, automated food production, and other companies like that, I think this the list is probably north of 60.
So what are some of the challenges we're trying to solve with this? Well, as we talked about a little bit earlier, the shortage of skilled workers, middle and high skills, was some of the things that we had seen in our research as we were developing this application. It was made mention of hiring delays that have affected production, and limited training programs in some of the top key industries. So robotics, CNC, automation, not seeing as much in those fields. Obviously, this is the reason we're here and we're trying to build this out. And then the other big thing we talked about as we built this out is the need for a dedicated space to actually do some of the training and the automation. The thought is maybe an incubator space here in the downtown or maybe some other place, obviously up for discussion, but Something that's going to be critical as we develop the strategy moving forward. So how does this work? It's working with all of you, developing a strong partnership between the employers, education, and the workforce boards, and investing in these programs, working with our colleges and universities in these key industry sectors. And then the role of OCPC. So we're going to bring the heck out of this, right? Make sure that we're making folks aware that we are indeed the tech hub for this region, and obviously keeping the community aware of what we're doing here. So I do have, the next part of this is really to get focus in terms of a Q&A and start the discussion. But before we get into that, I just wanted to turn over to Mass Hire, so they have a few words to talk about their roles.
Sure. So for those of you guys that don't know, Mass Hire, Greater Brockton Workforce Board, we're located directly across the street. We have two primary functions, I would say, basically, is one, we oversee the career center for anybody. So we do have access directly to the people that are currently looking for work. And then secondly, we gather employers and industry sectors, try to get them to the table to figure out exactly what we're trying to do here. Dan Evans, manufacturing, is also the chair of our board. So Ray mentioned manufacturing is very important to us, obviously as a region. One of the other primary things we do is every 4 years, we develop what's called the Southeast Regional Blueprint. So us and our colleagues in the Bristol area, South Shore area, and Bedford area do a ton of LMI. We put together a big blueprint, which I have here. Didn't bring copies, it's like 30 pages, but it is located directly on our website. And this past go around, we did it.
Yeah, it was produced in 2024.
2024, again, healthcare is at the top, just being located in Brockton, we have 3 major hospitals. But manufacturing has moved up to the second most priority in the region, followed by professional and technical services. So this is a very good fit for us in terms of, we're trying to learn as much as everyone is. Where are the needs, where are the people, and then what do we do? What do we need to do as a board and as a group to get these people upskilled and into the workforce? So that's what we need to do with that.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. So really to open this up for discussion and
I think Laura might have had something.
oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Laura.
Oh, thank you, Jason. That was great. Would I be able to just make sure everybody on the call today has a foundational understanding of the Mass Hire system? If you haven't worked with it before, it's clunky and abstract, and it can be a little difficult. Would that be okay if I shared my screen real quick?
Yeah, 1 second.
I actually 2 pieces of information that might be helpful.
Oh,
Give us 1 second.
Is that better?
oh, I think Megan has to do it. She's the host.
Thank you.
You're good, Laura.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Can you see that slide okay? Workforce system governance.
Yeah, if you've got the ability to make it a little bigger, that might help, but we can see it. There you go.
Great, thank you. So this is how the workforce system was laid out in Massachusetts and how Jason and I work together. But back up a little bit here, the President of the United States appoints Department of Labor head, and that Department of Labor head appoints a regional director. Here, we live in Region 1 for the U.S. Department of Labor. And the USDWEL works with our executive administration here. That's the Healy administration. Governor Healy has her own state workforce board, and she appoints her director of labor and workforce development. That's Secretary Lauren Jones. Secretary Jones oversees this secretariat with all of the subcommissions and departments you see below here, of which the workforce board system is attached, and you can see that here. So Jason and I work in separate regions, but with the same mission. And the workforce system is not as smooth as others. because it's a true, authentic Marble Cape federalism. We have federal, state, and local government working together to achieve workforce and economic development goals in every region. And this is what that map looks like. Jason works as executive director of the Brown region right here. You see Mass Higher Greater Brockton Workforce Board. I work in the Blue region, which encompasses the 22 communities between Milton and Plymouth along the Route 3 corridor. Within those two regions, we have upwards of thousands of businesses every day that would consider themselves a #1 priority. But we focus on sectors that we've identified in Labor Market Blueprint. We also work collaboratively with two other regions, the pink region here, which is Mass Higher Bristol, and the orange region, Mass Higher Greater New Bedford. And together, we make a super region known as Region 6. But we have a great diversity with demographic and economic diversity within Southeastern Massachusetts. And that's really the secret sauce to which has made us the most successful region in the Commonwealth, in my opinion. Does anybody have any questions on the workforce system and how we work together? And how we work to accomplish our workforce goals as relative to the Tech Hub program? No. Okay, I do have some documents I'll share via email, one of which is the Labor Market Blueprint that Jason had referenced earlier. In addition, a manufacturing analysis for all 3 counties encompassing Southeastern Massachusetts, Bristol, Norfolk, and Plymouth, just on the manufacturing sector, and then an economic overview of those 3 sectors as well, of those 3 regions as well. Thank you, Nick.
Great, thank you.
All right, so as I said, just want to really open it up to get your thoughts, and just really almost do a SWOT analysis, right? Just as we're all sitting here, just talk a little bit about the skills gaps you're facing, whether you're an industry, whether you're a community, whether you're a college. What are you seeing from your perspective? What are some of the services that you're providing right now, whether it be programming, training that is being offered, or maybe it's not being offered, it should, as part of this. And then as questions move along, start thinking about what you would need for an incubator space, right? What are some of the equipment that might be helpful? What have you found that's inhibited growth from your perspective, whether from industry, from education? Then finally, as we move forward with this, what would make companies choose this region over others? What makes this region attractive, and how we can bring more people here? So with that, no particular, yes.
Now that I caught my breath. Full disclosure, I have an affinity for Mass Higher, so. We appreciate it. Yeah, no, I've actually worked with Mass Higher over the last, I want to say at least 15 years. Lorraine and we met.
Yep, connected activities, 14 schools in the area. Yeah.
Yeah, so my background is a musician, singer-songwriter, getting into production, management, administration, a lot of those things. Also, what comes along with that is the technology as well. So I'm a chair of the Audio Engineering Society here, our Boston section, which is kind of New England. And I'm also a governor for the global organization, which is 15,000 members in 52 countries. So this is a vast amount of opportunity, I think, for our local folks here. Is still me. I have a big mouth, right?
I would not say you have a big mouth. You have a very caring interest.
Yeah, no, I show up and I really came here today, trying this way, to kind of learn more about what's happening. I just, Dr. Sutton told me about this last week. We had a meeting and she told me about this today. That's why I texted her immediately and said that I'd come, because I'm always curious when it comes down to technology in regards to STEAM education, manufacturing, components, devices, things like that that really don't get considered. There's a lot of that going on here. And since I've been in chair for 2.5 years, we've had a lot of vibrant events. And I'm always looking for younger people. And this is the reason why I do show up, because I'm originally from Dorchester, Roxbury. I live in Randolph now, but I've been in Brockton for a long time. This is how I got connected with Mass Higher. And I get appointed to the governor's cultural policy advisory council for here. So that experience for me, about, I must say, maybe 30 of us across the state, and nobody's representing technology. Nobody's really representing STEAM, even though it's arts and culture. But I was the only one talking about entrepreneurship, which is kind of interesting because I think when it comes to the arts, we're kind of the higher end, right? We don't really think about the technology behind what's going on in sustainable ways that we can actually, live, grow, educate, create jobs for ourselves and things like that. So that's kind of been my role of showing up in here. So now, we have companies like Sonos. If you guys are familiar with Sonos, it's right downtown Boston. Bose is out in Framingham. Listen, I don't know if you've heard of that company. They're in Boston. They all have manufacturing facilities as well. And whenever I go in, I always say, hey, what are you guys doing with young kids? Like you in the city, Brockton being like a gateway community, and the answer is no. And I'm like, would you like to? Right? And they're like, yeah, where do you get your interns from? And I asked all those questions, kind of like firing those off. And everyone would really, really love to do that more. So me as an audio consultant, this is why, I kind of show up in a lot of cases to see, like, is this a part of what you guys are looking to do? How can I be helpful? At least to create awareness, to start the conversation, figure out how we collaborate. This is what I've done with Mass Hire for forever. And so that's really, I wanted to come here to kind of learn and see what was there. When I think about manufacturing in particular, or transferable skills that somebody might have. And it's not even just young people, it's families, it's older folks, parents, and things like that, especially when it comes to, what's happening in community lives. It's not necessarily young kids that are getting in trouble, it's the older influences. I'm one of those kids, by the way. So I'm a product of that. And I realized that I had to show up, and I had mentors, people I didn't even know that were mentors, neighbors, things like that. So that's what I do as a chair now. Like, hey, you don't have to be a member to show up. I call people's parents. I have them bring their little brothers and sisters, literally. And so I feel like this would be a great opportunity to create more of that here. It's just, I never really show up in rooms and have anyone talking about any of these opportunities.
Well, and I think that's important, very important to the work that's being done, because, myopically, manufacturing is not the old manufacturing from 10 years ago or even 20 years ago. Arts, in terms of using technology. So I think with your presence here, and thank you to Dr. Corinne Saviano for inviting you, and sorry for not getting back to your text.
No worries. And just to say this, I don't want to take the floor too much, but a lot of times I use the arts, growing up singer-songwriter. I was production manager for Jordan Knight, New Kids on the Block, if you guys remember that. And Bobby Brown is my cousin, so he taught me like everything, but not to do with my life. But I say all the time, like a lot of times I would show up even from Brockton High School, Massasoit, where I connected my first opportunity to be an educator up there, Bridgewater State, Mass Hire, or STEM events. And a lot of times I can show up and teach someone, how to make a beat. You might hear kids saying, talk about beats and music, but they don't know that they're a composer. And what goes along with that is not only just the business of this intellectual property that they're creating, but also it's all the other jobs that go along with that. Not every young person that's creative is going to be a rock star. We already know this statistically, right? So it's like, how do you take the young person that's interested in the audio field, let's say, if they don't want to be a producer or singer or rapper or an engineer, like with a mixing board, like how do I teach them more about administration, right? So this spreadsheets all day long, things that I hate. As a publisher, there's that music licensing, which is the same as licensing software. So every time you buy a computer, they ask you, do you want Word? Do you want a family license? Do you want an individual license? It all works exactly the same way. So a lot of times, once I have a young person's attention, because they think of music, now I can talk to them all about manufacturing and how do you build speaker components right here in South Shore. It's a big company that does Snoop Dogg studio and everyone else's huge studios. They're right here. And so I can take them in there and talk to them about woodworking and things. Sonos, for instance, downtown Boston, right in Lafayette. Not only you have to sign an NDA to get in there, but once you're in there, you're learning about devices and components in woodworking, right? That's like another big trade that I grew up doing, you know, myself, like how do you build these components? And I feel like we're missing out on that opportunity because when I walk in the room, I don't see anyone from our communities at all, regardless of what their background is. And so I think that's a misconception of what our young people could be doing and how we can build in our communities, because it's just not happening here. And like global, I say, you know, our communities from Brockton, Tonkin, on down Fall River, back into Boston, there's nobody really talking about it. So I get a little frustrated, you know, like, how come we can't get more, which is why I value Mass Hire, right? To be able to show up and really have, you know, collaborate with you guys at that level. Anyway, so I just want to put that out there.
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly why we're here. We're identifying what the gaps are and how we can fill it. And obviously, our young people is going to be the key in this region, and how we uplift them and make them aware of these industries and provide them with the interest, right? And the excitement to get into these type of careers and obviously fill those gaps.
Thank you for sharing that. And so, again, I'm Cheryl Schnitzer. I'm the director of the Photonics and Optical Engineering Certificate Program at Stonehill. We're in our 6th year of running the program. Historically, we started this, I'd say, 9 years ago, under a summer work from MIT with the Office of Naval Research to bridge the gap between what we're teaching our students and the jobs that are out there. And we spent the first year just researching, visiting companies and talking to Mass Hire and trying, what do we need our program to be to bridge this gap? And we worked with Bridgewater State, VSU, and MIT to create this incredible program that we have. And so our success stories are just mind-blowing. Just love, like in our first cohort, we had a mother who was homeless with twin preschoolers. And ever since she finished our program, actually even during the program, she got a job at Sherman Lasers, worked there for 2 years, had health insurance, switched to Cyfox Health. She's been there for a couple of years. Just like, we're not just changing one life, we're changing generations of lives, and really inspiring stories. So our number one, it seems like we should have a lot of students in our program, but recruitment is a huge issue for us. We're not sure why. For the first few years, we had lots of funding where we helped with full tuition. And even that we had trouble recruiting. So we thought we were just getting into this. But now in our 6th year, we're still having trouble recruiting. And our students range in ages from 17, so some of them are seniors in high school. They're going to high school during the day and coming to our program at night. Our program is in the evening and one Saturday course, so that they can have a full-time job during the day and go to school during the day and still come to our program. And yet we hear stories where a student, when they finally come to us, how'd you hear about us? We're thinking we're doing all this great marketing. It's like, my mother was on the football field and talked to this other mother and talked to her. But I'm like, that's how you found out about our program. You know, we're just not getting the word out, and it's really frustrating. We're trying to keep our costs down. So I'd say the number one issue is recruiting, but number 2 is then helping them pay for tuition. So, you know, compared to the rest of the Stonehill program, it's actually very, say, affordable compared to a traditional program, but still out of reach for a lot of prospective students. So I was saying our students range in ages from 17 to 60s. So they want to retrain, we've had full out engineers coming to our program where they just want the hands-on training. And we've had students who are still in high school, also very diverse in terms of age, race, ethnicity, educational background, gender. And so happy to hear your ideas, but that is our number one issue. We want to help create the pipeline into our program, train them we have intense 7-week courses, and then get them into the job. So we just need these pipelines better established.
That's a reality, right? And I'm looking at some of the other industry leaders as well, but the reality is the recruitment. And And unless you were sitting within the cafeteria over in the green cafeteria at Brockton High School talking, and it's also guidance counselors, and I'm sure you've done all of that. Kind of a little bit back to what Malik was saying, you've got to be a little bit more, well, we all have to be a little bit more innovative in how this group coming together can help with that outreach and getting word out.
Well, back up what Cheryl said, that, there's a lot of programs that years ago, we didn't have these programs. And the government, at all different levels, has done a tremendous job of, putting money, advertising, creating programs. The schools, I'm gonna pick a number, say 10 years ago, I helped a lot of the vocational schools, and you go into their programs, for advanced manufacturing. You know, it wasn't relevant to what was going on in the real world. And the grants started coming out, and these schools really have great equipment now. And it's a great opportunity for these young generation to get some training. The training, they've opened it up, like South Shore has night programs, I'm sure Southeastern has them also. They're everywhere, but you hear the same thing, is it's tough to fill them. And I think it goes back to marketing. You know, I've done open houses for different vocational programs a few years back. And, you know, these kids come in and they're just, wow, they're blown away. It's an easy sell. And when they're leaving, you can hear their parents tell them, you don't want to go back. Because it's a misconception that advanced manufacturing is really they used to call it machines, a machine shop, you know, a job shop. You know, but they don't do that anymore because it's a more sexy name is advanced manufacturing. And it's not dark and dirty and dangerous anymore. And I think I'm taking that from one of Mike's quotes, but
The other half, it's safe, smart, and sustainable.
that's right. It's a viable way to make a living, you know, and I just don't think that people know that. You know, it wasn't too long ago that, if you could go home, have dinner, turn on a ball game or the news, and the commercials were talking about manufacturing, advanced manufacturing. I just couldn't believe it. I've never, in my wildest dreams, would think that that would be on the press, you know, like a commercial someone would spend for that. But it's gone. You know, it's not, the programs are still coming out. But it's just not done. I mean, like So Sure, I know that, or Southeastern, or some of the other programs, they don't tell us. We need these employees bad. And they're just not filling them. You know, I just don't think they know the income that can be made and the opportunity that's there, but safe, sustainable, those are key words, you know, it's, so it's kind of frustrating in that sense, you know. In my position, we support it, but we can only take so many entry-level people that graduate from these programs. But we do know that you have to start somewhere. You have to have an entry level. And then they get into the occupation and they learn. And eventually it's, you know, it's gonna be a benefit for us. It's a benefit even when they're starting, but we can't hire 12 people out of a program, you know, because our nature of our workload is more advanced. So anyway, it's marketing. We have the same issue with, and I see it everywhere. As you mentioned.
Yeah, I'd love to jump on that just for 1 second because we worked together for a long time too. And it's tough. Everything that everybody said in this room is so true. And it's been like that for about, well, way longer than I've been involved in manufacturing. I'm looking at you, Mike. Met, you know, you and Dan and I have been having this conversation, and Paul Diamond from Northeastern for over 14 years, amongst many others. And it's true, you know, a lot of the manufacturers in our area, they are, you know, small to medium-sized manufacturers. And, you know, we've got awesome companies in our area, and there's such great partners who step up and hire some of the people out of our programs, like our uniquely able program. that we do with the South Shore and the New Bedford and the Fall River folks. Laura mentioned about how regionally we work together. Well, some of that money that comes into our Region 6, which is the larger, 4 workforce board areas of southeastern Mass, that allows us to apply for, just like you have money from Mass Tech, same thing with us. It's not really coming from the DRL dollars, it's actually coming from a different source because the outcomes are also sometimes different. So sometimes when you're talking about recruitment, depending on the funding stream, we have folks who really, like, if they're coming from the career centers, people, sometimes they don't want to be in a program that's a year long. They're looking to get trained and get into the workforce and start supporting their families. So it's really like weighing all of that. So we have to kind of look at the big picture, which is why this opportunity, when Mary reached out, is so huge, because we are able to collectively work together and bring this stuff again to the forefront and say, where else, Paul, can we apply for funding after we have these industry roundtables that we're going to have, and we're hearing from all of the different partners as to how we're going to move this forward in this corridor, but also across the Southeastern Mass region and the Old Colony region.
And I think that utilizing this process to help expand into other areas will be important. But for right now, I don't know if there's anybody online that has any comments. I think that there's a number of questions that are there. Is transportation an issue for folks, right? I can't tell you how many of my daughter's friends, and she's way out of Brockton High School, but they have her license, but she doesn't own a car because the expense of what it takes for, to own a car.
One of the things I know is that Brockton, here's the Brockton area transit, they run free buses for transportation. That's fantastic. But that's for Brockton or whatever area it is.
Their service area.
Yes. And, but we hired a gentleman not too long ago, a young guy, pretty well accomplished, even though he's young. And I went up to my car and I said, hey, where you going? He says, I'm walking up to the BAT station. I go, I thought you lived in Rockland. He goes, I do. So I said, hop in, I'll give you a ride. I dropped him off at the BAT station. Along the way, he told me that he was ordering an Uber that was paid for through BAT, through a grant that they have. And it was gonna cost him, don't quote me, but I think it was less than $3, probably $2, but less than $3 to get there. So all of a sudden, living in Rockland and getting to Brockton, was a big deal. So I just haven't heard that being told enough to talk about transportation. I think it breaks a lot of barriers.
So I do think one of the barriers, and as we're looking forward of attracting, recruiting, but also in terms of how we are promoting the manufacturers or how we are promoting advanced manufacturing, how we're promoting being a tech hub, needs to be added. That transportation, right? Access to jobs, access to education are one of the barriers that often get left off. And, we've talked about it internally. But I think looking at some of the skills gap, we're not gonna be able to get to a lot of these questions. We'll pose these questions to you and then please get back to Nick and Paul. But in terms of the gaps, one of the things when I did work at Bridgewater State University and worked with Mass Higher Greater Brockton, was that we did identify what is being offered, certificate program and or 4-year, 2-year or voc tech that provides that service and who's looking for those skills gaps, right? So going to the private businesses, going to the private partners is really important. Because then if you have that know-how, I think number one is to sustain the businesses that we have within our region. And then secondly, it's to grow. And in fact, if photonics and or any other advanced manufacturing is going to be needed, then if we're going to grow, where are we going to go? And that's where the cities and towns come into play. What exists for buildings to grow, where, rather than creating a new center, what space is available at current centers? And then it goes back to availability of access. Is it on a bus line? Is it, after hours? Is it a third shift, right? There's all those things that we are sometimes thinking just 9 to 5, and being in the manufacturing field, that is not 9 to 5. So comments from anybody, either online?
Mary, just to pick up on the skills, we talk about technical skills, but the ability to think critically, to problem solve are huge skill sets that we always need. And I think, advanced manufacturing, we still have to face the paradigm that Dan mentioned, the 3Ds, where it's really the 3Ss. But we have an opportunity now because we've gained some momentum and some notoriety. With the technology that's being embedded in our companies, it's different. It's changing rapidly with the automation, with the robotics, with machine monitoring, with big data, 3D printing, AI. That can attract a different type of individual that we may not have been able to attract even for 2 or 3 years ago. Gamers, kids that are, good online, they could assimilate into some of the roles that aren't even developed that will be developed soon in our organization. So I think we need to leverage that. We need to continue to promote wherever we can. The earlier we get the kids into our companies, the better. Middle school, high school, sometimes high school is too late. We got to provide tours. That's how we get them engaged, interested, whether you're talking to your friends, your family, coworkers. It's every opportunity to show what we do because people need to understand it's changing, it's attractive. College isn't for everybody. Lifelong learning is, and you can get away from college debt and get into figure careers pretty quickly in advanced manufacturing.
Thank you, Mike. I think that piece, right, it's a great addition to the conversation we're having today. I don't know, anybody else, just unmute yourself if you are online. Sorry, it's hard for me to see who else might not. But if not, again, these questions are really important to be asked, and maybe for us staff, let's put them out and get some responses back, give it a little bit more time to have you come back to us, since we're coming into the holidays. But having these be addressed and be talked about, not only in person, but to be raised. Paul?
Yeah, I think what I've been able to get out of this short period of time, it's marketing, number one, education, number two, really getting these folks, the young folks attracted to these and removing those misconceptions, right? And I think all the better for the thought of developing an incubator space, right? I know when you just mentioned, they think, well, it's gonna take a year, or well, why am I gonna wait a year to get into these fields? But maybe something like that space being developed with the tools readily available, having that forward thinking, could maybe help bridge some of that gap, right? Obviously, in addition to the education.
Great.
Yes, shorter term credentialing programs.
And just because it was raised, getting the input from the high schools, not just only Brockton, but the high schools, the Voc Tech, getting into the middle schools, that is really where I know a lot of work has been done in the past, and continuing to at least then have, so when there is that parent that turns to their kid and says, yes, this is something for you and we're gonna support you, that piece is pretty important to have that be identified, so. Oh, perfect. Nick, who's next?
All right, so just moving along, so this is what we have for the project timeline. We're still working on a contract right now, so we don't have dates for you. But at least as we've been talking, so continuing this dialogue, so outreach and assessments with all of you, including the communities. Continuing to do the workforce research portion of this, but also branding this, now understanding the education piece that's going to go along with this. And then obviously at some point, phase 3, drafting the actual strategy. And then we'll have a working document that's not going to sit on a shelf, but continue to be built out. And we're going to look at additional funding opportunities to keep building it out. So that's where developing an investment plan will be crucial. And then continuing to roll this out to the public and, let people know what we're doing here. So in terms of next steps, we talked about scheduling regular working group sessions with the folks here, but obviously knowing not everybody is here at the table today, and identifying who those folks are and making sure that they're here for the next session, excuse me. We're thinking quarterly, at this point, something we had brought up. I was thinking maybe one, obviously more intermediate in between that as we're continuing to flesh out ideas. But really, again, confirming that the working group numbers, who's going to be a part of this. Actually, as part of our contract, we have 60 days to develop the working group list. So if there's anybody here that should be at the table, that needs to be at the table, please let us know and we'll make sure to factor that in. And then, of course, for us, it's continuing to do the branding, launching this on our website, making sure this is as public facing as we can be. And then just collecting the data, working with our consultant Mass Hire and really identifying the workforce need. So that is where we're at this point.
And so just even on that last point, I'd be looking to have, staff go to each of the communities, maybe Board of Selectmen, maybe even have some, or in the case of City Council, to in fact talk about this program and to be available to have some further dialogue. I think having town government or the city government be engaged is really important. There's newsletters, there's social media that you all have, and having that branding will be important that we start truly work in a collaborative way.
I would also mention, today was a preliminary meeting, right? And I know we have a couple companies on here, but I think going forward, you know, when we start to put together the working group and that sort of thing, obviously we want more companies at the table. So, you know, any sort of assistance we can get with that to have people in the room and on these calls to participate is going to be obviously a huge plus. So while today is a preliminary meeting, we do want to make sure that we have more than adequate representation from the companies in the area. So any sort of assistance or help we can provide by getting more buy-in and weigh-in from stakeholders, the better. Just wanted to mention that.
Well, that's all I have. Mary, I don't know if you have any closing remarks.
So other than I know we missed a couple of the folks to wish everybody a wonderful Thanksgiving, because it is literally this week and then I know break is coming up for the colleges and universities. And I think there's some of that element, right? The academic world lives in a different world. And I'm gonna say, because I used to work at Bridgewater State University and it takes a while to acclimate to it. And it does. If your businesses are in, you know, on 24/7 pretty much, as I'm looking at many of you around the table. So we're cognizant of that. This is not a, you know, one and done meeting as Paul and Nick and John have said. We're in it for a long road. I think the idea is to build the foundations, look at where we're missing, how we're communicating. And you know, the best part that I do know, I get to co-chair the young adults committee over at Mass Hire. One of the things we did is in fact have young adults co-chairing with me, no longer 65-year-old people. We need to have young people be part of the engage. And I'm telling you, they run the meeting much, much better than I could have even thought anyway, my point is that please continue to stay engaged. See, you know, the first question I always ask is who's not at the table. So if you do have folks and people that you know, invite them. And these will be recorded, they will be up on our website. People can see the notes, they can see the interaction. That's the piece that this is just not one and done. This is gonna be for long haul. So we strengthen this region and then start bringing the other communities in and start further strengthening. So before they start and when they leave Boston, they don't skip over this area and go down to Fall River, New Bedford. We're here. We want to know, let folks, whether it's businesses, academia, our communities know that we're here. And I'm appreciative of, once again, the staff. I did not write this application. Paul, Nick, Don, I did participate in it. But the staff that we have, along with Megan on the other side of the wall, really keeps this place going. So I know, Megan, you could put your head up this time. I think I missed you last time because you were out and ended up with Andrew. But again, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We'll send out some notes after this. Thanks, Megan. We'll send some notes after this and please make sure that we put the two-way dialogue. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hi.